All right. This is the final episode before the album drops. And when the album drops, there will be an accompanying episode, but this is the last one before the album drops. And we're going to talk about Iron Concert on a Full Moon. Now, first things first, Iron Concert on a Full Moon is not an album. It's I don't even know what to call it. I like to call it a special presentation because it's not really an EP. It's not an album. I don't really know what it is. So as I've mentioned on several episodes before, I love to, create stories and create worlds with new characters and stuff. And when I made the decision to make a new saga for my releases, like I mentioned before, there's the Hometown Saga, which is 2013 to 2023. And there's the Reaping Saga, which is 2024 to 2034. I don't really know when I made the decision, but I do recall making the choice of I'm not going to put these new characters in the Kieran universe and, mix all these storylines together and stuff like that. So I looked back and I said, okay, well, I made the Reaping saga. I'll just call this one the Reaping universe. The Hometown Saga is essentially the Kieran universe, but you can also call it the Hometown universe for simplicity's sake. But yeah, I wanted to keep that over there, and I wanted to make this new thing its own thing. So I decided to call the stories that I do the Reaping universe. And this being the first story, I wanted to kind of set the groundwork for, the antagonists that might be present during this universe. And, kind of, is this more of a fantastical world? Is it a little more grounded? Yada, yada, yada. So initially, it started with 3 EPs. They were the Log 000 EPs. And there was Log 001, 002, and 003. One of them was with Fables, the rapper Fables. And I believe that one was Heal. That one was called Heal. I think it was Health, Evolution, and Love is what that one was. And then Log 002 was with De'Aro Quinson, and that was Dark Reflection. And then the third one was originally supposed to be with Pop Casso, and it was going to be called Post-Traumatic Growth Disorder. But some things came up and it turned into a solo project, but it was still Post-Traumatic Growth Disorder, and it was part of the Log 000 EPs. Now, each of those EPs was basically like a log of an interview where at the end, Dr. Tenna, voiced by Nolan, she's a singer that I met on Instagram, and she was gracious enough to do the voiceover for me for this specific character. And each one of them is a different day where Dr. Tenna is interviewing a test subject named C22. And C22 is a test subject inside of this facility owned and operated by the Black Silk Industries, or just Black Silk Industries. Black Silk Industries, as you will find out if you listen to the EPs and Iron Concert, they're doing, experiments. I'm not going to get too much into experiments because I kind of do want to flesh this story out over the years as, I have new ideas for how to incorporate new characters and stuff. But yeah, that's who is responsible for the kickoff of this story. And you hear what happens at the end of PTGD, Post-Traumatic Growth Disorder, that EP. You hear what happens at the end, and that leads directly into Iron Concert on a Full Moon. And listening to that EP and listening to all 3 of them kind of gives you some background into why the project is called Iron Concert. The On a Full Moon part is obviously in references to werewolves, because in on the Iron Concert project, you hear people making claims of that, right? And you can figure out, you can kind of piece together what the story is there. But yeah, I originally was gonna, put all of those songs on the Iron Concert project with all of it, and it was gonna be something completely different. It was gonna be like an actual live in concert thing. That was way before I came up with the idea to tell any stories with it. It was genuinely just gonna be called Iron Concert on a Full Moon, because the release date that I picked, September 17th, 2024, was a full moon. And I was going to have an Iron Concert on a full moon. And it was going to be like live performance, and it was just going to be captured like that. But unfortunately, I didn't end up going through with that idea, because I came up with the storyline and I wanted to follow that a little more. The kind of, how do I put it? The theme of these stories, I guess, is more like vintage horror. I kind of had the idea to keep the theme of the characters that get introduced during this in that realm. So now it was more like sci-fi horror-esque, right? Nothing too crazy, but that's kind of the overall vibe that it was getting when I was coming up with these ideas. And one of the things that I like to do is kind of like tease upcoming things and, kind of lay the groundwork for in case I double back on an idea. And with Iron Concert, if you look at the cover art for Iron Concert, there's a little sticker in the corner, because I did a mixed media cover for this one, where it was like me and my students, we cut out a few copies and we just kind of pasted them around each other and came up with the cover. So some were like full color versions, some were black and white, some were grayscale, and we just kind of cut around and, glued them together and then scanned it in, and that was the final cover. But in the corner, you see it says 1033 Reaping Universe #1. And I did that because going back to the hometown stuff, I realized I made it a little bit difficult to figure out which albums were just albums, which albums were completely fictional and tied to the books and stuff like that. And I ended up having to write out like an entire storyline for how all of the albums connected, because I didn't do any distinguishing. So with Iron Concert, I was making the conscious decision up front, like, no, if I'm going to tell fictional stories as well, I want to make sure I indicate that this is a part of those fictional stories. So now every story that's like a fictional part of this Reaping universe, those will get that sticker that says 1033 Reaping Universe with the issue number. And it'll let you know, what number it is in the storyline. After a decade, there might be 10, there might be 20, who knows? There might only be 2. But I did want to set the groundwork for making it easier for people to know what's what. So like Fruits of My Labor, that's a real personal album. That's not a storytelling album from, like fake creatures and things like that. That's my personal life. And then you get Iron Concert, that's got the sticker, that's creatures and science fiction and things like that. So that's how I was able to denote the differences going forward, to where I didn't have to, try and figure out this grand interconnecting plot between every single project I release for, the next 10 years. And actually thinking about it, the way that I set it up, if I did 2013 to 2023, I probably should have did 2023 to 2033. Oh, well, it's too late now. I've set it up where it's, the following year begins the next year type thing. I'm not starting it from the exact same date. Which I think, I feel like that'll just, help avoid some confusion. But it's funny because people really enjoyed this project, and in my mind, it wasn't even a real project. It wasn't like a whole thing. It was just this fun idea I had because with the 3 EPs, it was, like setting up for Iron Concert. And then Iron Concert drops and it's a radio show. And the radio show is, 103.3 Kane FM. Obviously that's a nod to 1033. Kane is my dog's name, so I just did Kane FM. And the little logo I made for the record label, the radio station is, that 103.3 Kane FM, and then it's a little dog. And then I also made the Black Silk Industries logo, which, okay, going back a bit, I originally planned for Black Silk to be used in 2 other ways. I was going to do a group project after the Marvels 5 didn't work out. I was going to do a group project again, and it was going to be called Black Silk. That never panned out. So I even had like some cover art ideas, and the cover art for that originally, it did end up getting used. But it was originally for Black Silk, but it turned into the cover for More of the Same. It was a picture of a fish that my friend Grace, not Grace Coletta, Grace Parada, she took a picture of a fish in a restaurant, and I edited it and turned it into the cover art for that. But it felt like it made more sense for More of the Same. Fast forward again, I start researching ways to use this Black Silk title. And originally, not originally, but early on in my decision making, one of the other ideas that didn't get used was using it as a superhero name for a new character in my books, and adding her to the Kieran series and naming her Arapel Jones, and her superhero name was going to be Black Silk. That also didn't pan out. I still have somewhat of a design for her, but I ended up changing her name and her superhero name. And now Black Silk is the corporation that is, kind of like the boogeyman of these new Reaping Universe stories. The logo is actually supposed to be a constellation of a spider, and the Black Silk is supposed to represent like the interconnected web of the universe, and like connecting universes, connecting galaxies and things like that. It was supposed to be very celestial in nature, to kind of hint that the Black Silk Industries will be utilizing some I don't really know what you would call it in this moment. I'm trying to think. I'm drawing a blank. Some of their work will be utilizing technology that is interdimensional or interuniversal, things like that. I didn't want to get into a whole bunch of multiverse stuff, which is why I pulled Kieran out of this stuff and, made sure that was separate. And I just wanted to keep this his own thing because, I didn't want that to trickle into my books because, my books are my babies. I love all those characters so much. And I put so much time and effort into every single character and coming up with their story and their background and, their look and everything like that. And I didn't want that to get muddied up if I did do anything with, exploring dimensions and universes and stuff. So I wanted that to stay separate. But yeah, I'm so surprised that people enjoyed that project the way they did because it was really just a fun little thing to do to kill some time. And it was, I released it on my mom's birthday because of the full moon and things like that. And you listen to it, it's just a radio show and they call, Cameron, let me back up. The radio show has callers and they're calling in about things that are happening in the street with the police and Black Silk Industries and things like that. And Cameron London, me, but, in universe me, is on the radio show discussing some new songs that he's dropping, and they're playing the songs on the radio. So in reality, I haven't dropped those songs, right? It's just them playing the songs that are about to release on the radio. And people loved it. And they were like, oh man, it's so creative. That was such a cool thing to do. And, I voiced all the characters in there. And I even had like a little cutaway ad. And during the interview section, I had a cutaway ad for Annie's Tea and Lemonade, which is my mom's tea and lemonade company. And, like I said, it was just a fun thing to do. It's a nice little project. I think it's only like 8 tracks. Well, 4 songs, 8 tracks total because the other 4 are skits. And, it's just a short little project. You can listen to it start to finish, and it's just fun to listen along and kind of immerse yourself in that world. Like I said about liking the sprinkle stuff, so that name, Arapel Jones, I did use that. And that name will be important in the future, whether I use it in the Kieran books or I use it as part of the Reaping Saga stuff. It will be important. And the last song on Iron Concert on a full moon is Spirit of the Harvest Moon. And you can hear the Spirit of the Harvest Moon's voice at the end of the project. And it says the Spirit of the Harvest Moon returns for the reaping. And that's where, that's where it ends. So I left that kind of open as a cliffhanger of if I'm going to bring in a character that is, okay. So for those of you that know who Ghost Rider is, Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze or, what is his name? I can't think of the other Ghost Rider's name. The one that drives the car, Robbie Reyes, him. So if you know either of those Ghost Riders, right, a Ghost Rider in general is, possessed by a spirit of vengeance. Something like that will be the case for the Spirit of the Harvest Moon. So it's not a spirit of vengeance, but it is the Spirit of the Harvest Moon. And yeah, like I said, keeping with some horror themed roots and some sci-fi roots and just trying to figure out where I want to go with that kind of stuff. But right now, we are getting prepared for my 30th birthday album. So my whole focus has really been trying to put my best foot forward and make an album that is, worthy of my 30th birthday and potentially giving me, depending on who you ask, my first classic or my second classic or my third, depending on who you ask. So I just wanted to be a good project and, I want everybody to enjoy themselves and have a nice listen. And I really hope everybody's enjoyed this little trip down memory lane as we talked about all my albums from before the debut all the way up until my most recent project and soon to be my 30th birthday album, Who Else But Me. So thank you for sticking with me if you've been listening to all of these. If this is the first one you're hearing, I would love for you to go back and, listen to the others if you get some free time. But yeah, please allow me to play a song from Iron Concert on a full moon. And the next time we have one of these episodes, the new album will be out.
Forget facts. Forget logic. Forget everything that seems real. Just trust.
I think Cam made this one.
Stepped out the woods, huffing and puffing. Genuine, I ain't one for the bluffing. Televised, let them see the destruction. Tit for tat, I ain't kill them for nothing. Walk them down, let them know how I feel. I'm hunting, this ain't for a meal. My life ain't a fable, I'm sick of pretending, I know that it's real. I'm hunting 3 little piggies, I heard they fulfilling the shame that I cut out the pork. If I'm the antagonist, won't be surprised when the village begin to revoke their support. I didn't ask for this, a fate that was given, I'm living in spite of the hate. Give me some hot sauce, I'm undercover, I don't like the way that it tastes. First little pig is counting his hay, huff and puff, I'ma blow it away. Call up his brother for somewhere to stay, but they cannot hide today. Second pig built his house out of sticks, here's a lesson you'll never forget. Know that I'm about to put foot on your neck like they should've done to that pedo and Nick. Stepped out the woods, huffing and puffing. Genuine, I ain't one for the bluffing. Televised, let them see the destruction. Tit for tat, I ain't killing for nothing. Walk them down, let them know how I feel. I'm hunting, this ain't for a meal. My life ain't a fable, I'm sick of pretending, I know that it's real. Stepped out the woods, huffing and puffing. Genuine, I ain't one for the bluffing. Televised, let them see the destruction. Tip for tat, I ain't killing for nothing. Walk them down, let them know how it feel. I'm hunting, this ain't for a meal. My life ain't a fable, I'm sick of pretending, I know that it's real. Third pig got bricks cause he seen how his brothers got slid on. Lemon pepper for the seasoning, I might have to go and put a bib on. Don't be ducking down, don't be running now. Promise that it ain't a beef, heard you a thief. That's why I'm after your brother, this blood that I need on receipt. Oh, you got red in the back as a hostage, turning 3 little pigs into sausage. This ain't how I pictured a hog tie, I'm collecting my share of the profits. Big bad wolf, always the villain. Guess I'm sick of the script I was given. And not for an eye leave you blind, but not if you see in the vision. Stepped out the woods, huffing and puffing. Genuine, I ain't one for the bluffing. Televised, let them see the destruction. Tit for tat, I ain't killing for nothing. Walk them down, let them know how I feel. I'm hunting, this ain't for a meal. My life ain't a fable, I'm sick of pretending, I know that it's real. Stepped out the woods, huffing and puffing. Genuine, I ain't one for the bluffing. Televised, let them see the destruction. Tit for tat, I ain't killing for nothing. Walk them down, let them know how it feels. I'm hunting, this ain't for a meal. My life ain't a fable, I'm sick of pretending, I know that it's real.